feminine energy is a really good representation of the embodiment of self-love. It's the nurturing energy. It's the creative energy. It's the flow energy. It's not the doing. It's not the surviving. It's not the I need to do this, and that so that they don't hurt me. It's not the thinking 10 steps ahead of somebody of what you're going to do if they possibly hurt you. It's not that. Feminine energy is not that. I feel like when I realized that I had so much masculine energy within me, I felt very ashamed and I felt like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I tap into this feminine energy everyone's talking about? And why am I living in survival mode all the time? I felt very awful about myself because I felt like it wasn't normal. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I wasn't doing the right things to be feminine. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla. If you have not seen my face before, welcome. On this channel, we talk about all things self-development, law of attraction, spirituality. So if that sounds good to you, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. I would love to have you as a part of our online soul family. Today we are going to be talking about feminine energy. This is a very big topic for me because for the last year, I have been trying to tap into my feminine energy. Feminine energy really doesn't have anything to do with if you're a male or a female or whatever you identify as. Everybody has masculine and feminine energy within them. It just so happens that when women are tapped into their feminine energy, it just feels a lot better in our body. I'm filming this video because I have never seen a video like this. I've seen plenty of videos talking about how to tap into your feminine energy or how to look feminine or how to be feminine. There's really no way to describe how to be feminine. You just embody being feminine and feeling into your feminine energy when the time is right for you and when you're ready to, and also when you realize certain things. For me, it was not just one or two things that I did that helped me step into my feminine energy. Now, of course, physical things like clothes and hair and beauty and softening your voice and all these different things seem feminine and they do give off feminine energy, but keep in mind that the hair, the beauty, the makeup, all these things that are related to femininity that people will say to do to be more feminine, it's a side effect to actually being in that energy. And you will naturally feel called to certain styles, so to speak, or you'll feel called to do certain things that may appear to be more feminine once you are in that feminine energy. Now you may be asking me, well, Kayla, how do I get in that feminine energy? How do I tap into that? Without telling you how to, because I feel like the internet is filled with so many videos of how to actually do something or telling you what to do. I feel like doing things is very masculine energy, and let me explain, because feminine energy is the essence of being, and then masculine energy is more of the do energy. Do this, do that. Even some manifestation techniques I've talked about have masculine energy. And I also want to preface by saying it's okay to be in your masculine energy and there's nothing to be ashamed of. I feel like when I realized that I had so much masculine energy within me and not a lot of feminine energy, at least wasn't tapped into it, I felt very ashamed and I felt like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I tap into this feminine energy everyone's talking about? Why do I just feel so masculine? Why do I have such masculine energy? Why am I go, go, go all the time? Why am I doing things all the time? And why am I living in survival mode all the time? I felt very awful about myself because I felt like it wasn't normal. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I wasn't doing the right things to be feminine. And there's nothing that you can do. Like, it's not doing, it's experiencing. And I'm going to share with you my story in hopes that it plants a seed in you and maybe plants a seed to maybe make you realize as to why you aren't tapping into your feminine energy and maybe why you're so in your masculine. Once you're aware of the reason why, what is causing you to be out of alignment in energy, you can actually start to make changes that feel good to you. And it's not even going to be these changes that you feel like you're doing. It's going to be changes that just feel good, that just bring you joy. It makes you actually want to make those changes rather than feeling forced to. You don't have to do anything. You literally do not have to do anything. It can be easy for you, and it gets to be easy for you, and that is a big part of what feminine energy is just sitting back and living that soft girl life. Yes, this video is going to be targeted towards women just because I am a woman and this is my story, but if you're a male, feel free to listen, or whatever you identify as, feel free to listen, and maybe this can help you in some way, shape, or form as well. So even men can benefit from this information because of the fact that there is a such thing as toxic masculinity. Everyone needs a good balance of both, and sometimes men will like to feel more masculine and women usually like to feel more feminine. That's just from my perspective now that I've tapped into my feminine energy. Yeah, without further ado, I'm going to share my story because I would feel so wrong to tell you what to do because it's all very individual. Maybe my story can help you. About last year, I realized that I was living in my masculine energy. I knew this for a while, even outside factors. If you look at some of my old videos, even recent videos, I'm tapping into my masculine energy. From the outside perspective, I dress like Adam Sandler, wearing like sweaters and stuff. And like that doesn't matter. But again, these outside factors are a side effect of what you're embodying on the inside. Always dressed in like sweaters and sweatpants, and of course, I love a good sweat set, still wear them to this day. Also, my voice was a little bit deeper. I felt very preachy, like I had to get my point across. That is because of a lot of reasons. I felt like society had failed me, and I felt like something was just wrong. Something wasn't right in my life. And I noticed within the relationship dynamic of me and my husband, I was pulling out very feminine traits in him because I was carrying a lot of masculine energy. And there was no room for him to be in his masculine because I was very in my masculine. And vice versa, it goes both ways. We both attracted each other because of that difference in energy. We had no idea what divine femininity is or what divine masculinity is. We had no idea what this was. And so I noticed a lot of issues in my relationship. I noticed a lot of issues in my work and in just my manifestations wasn't really aligning as much as I would have liked. Even the manifestation method scripting, which I absolutely love, carries a lot of masculine energy because you are doing and you're not being, so to speak, okay? Scripting can lead to being, but the initial driving energy is a very masculine energy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still love scripting. I still tap into masculine traits. It's just natural. What I'm saying is there was something really deep and something really not right within my body that was bringing out these masculine traits. This is going to get really deep and personal. To anyone in my family who I'm talking about or anything like that, I really hope you don't take it personally because I am just sharing my truth and what I've experienced in my life. And I know that, just like a little disclaimer here, for people that know me, things that I might say might be very triggering, and also like I don't talk about these things often, so you may not have realized these things went on in my life, and this is nobody's fault. I just want to say that. I put no blame on anybody or anything. Things happen to me so that I'm able to share my story and so that I'm able to help other people. And these things happen to me so that I can grow. And I'm able to look at it from a place now, not out of feeling like a victim, but of feeling empowered. And that is what I truly feel like feminine energy is stepping into your power, especially as a woman. The feminine is just creative and just expressive and just an essence. And it's hard to explain because when you're feeling that energy, it just is. Let's get into the personal stuff. Vulnerability that I had such a hard time with when I was in my masculine energy. This is very new for me, so keep an open mind when I'm sharing my story because it is very new for me to be sharing such personal things on the internet. I've shared personal things before, but this, I feel like, goes very, very deep. So I want to say thank you for holding space for me to share my story. Anyways, growing up, I thought my life was great. I thought my life was perfect. I had a mother and a father, and I knew people around me whose parents were divorced, and I was like, wow, like my parents are together, we have a house, everything is perfect, everything is great, right? And later on in life, I realized that I went through a lot of trauma. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. I realized last year and the year before, I was kind of realizing that I felt like my mom wasn't truly there for me in a loving and nurturing way, like how a mother would naturally be. Growing up, my mother dealt with a lot of mental health issues. I've talked to her about this recently. Like, me and my mom are so good now, and like I feel closer to her than I've ever felt before. But to give some backstory, she dealt with a lot of mental health issues, so she was in bed sleeping a lot. Like, she was just in bed a lot, dealing with a lot of mental health issues that really did affect the family. I feel like looking back on it now, the love that was portrayed to me as a kid was not love. I never really saw my parents affectionate. I never saw them kissing or hugging, and if they were hugging, it was because my mom was like really trying to like get my dad to hug her. My dad never bought her flowers. He never, I mean, maybe he did at one point, I just never saw it. He never like really wanted to go out to eat, and if they did go out to eat, she was the one paying for it. My dad did provide. I believe he did like pay for some bills and stuff, but my dad never showed affection to her in the way that I would have liked him to show affection, and I think the way that she would have liked him to show affection. So growing up, I didn't really have the best outlook on love. They were fighting a lot, and towards the end of it, you know, there was some betrayal that happened. I'm not really gonna dive deep into it, but there was a very big betrayal. And my mom ended up moving out of the house when I was 18. Ever since then, I felt like my parents separating was my fault, because my mom actually always used to tell me like, oh, as soon as you graduate, like me and your dad, I don't think we're gonna work out. Like, I'm looking for apartments. Like, she was actively telling me she was looking for apartments. And my mom was also talking crap about my dad to me, and my dad was also talking bad about my mom to me. Wait, yeah, they were talking bad about each other. I don't know if I said that right, but they were talking bad about each other to me, and I felt like I was like really in the middle of it. I felt like I had to pick a side. So anytime that my parents would talk bad about the other one, I would like feel like I was on their side, because I didn't want to feel like I was in trouble or something, or that they didn't love me because I wasn't like choosing their side or something. So I felt like I was very in the middle of them, and it definitely felt like I was the reason why they broke up, because also, remind you, I was a child while this was happening. Like, I was very young. This happened throughout my whole life pretty much. I remember like I would go to the other parent and I would tell them some of the things that were said about them from the other one, and then they would like defend themselves, and they would tell me all these shitty things about the other person, and it gave me a very bad outlook on both of my parents. Yet I felt like I had to choose a side, and anytime I felt like I had to choose a side, I was very much a people pleaser. Okay, this led me to people pleasing. And I just wanted everyone to be happy. I just wanted everyone to be okay, and it definitely was not. So I felt like my mom wasn't there for me because she wasn't really loving and nurturing. Like, she definitely loved me and she definitely tried her best with what she had, but I never felt that like motherly connection. I always felt that there was that part was like missing. And whenever I was sick, I would be yelled at by my parents. I remembered these emotions after my brother got sick. I was at my dad's house not too long ago, and my brother was throwing up in the bathroom, and my dad started yelling at him for throwing up. And I just remember I just got these flashbacks of my parents yelling at me when I was sick. And when a child is sick, you're not supposed to yell at them. You're supposed to nurture them and love them and care for them. And I never got that. I just remember always feeling like I was in trouble for being sick. I never got the love energy, like the nurturing. All I craved was for my mom to just rub my back and say, it's gonna be okay, and just make me soup or something, you know? I just felt like I was always a burden, especially when I was sick. Yeah, so that's one whole side to the story of just the type of energy my parents had. When you are in a family dynamic, your parents are your means of safety and survival, and you attach what feels like safety and survival towards your parents in the way that they act, even if it doesn't feel safe. My dad yelled all the time when I was younger, and even to this day he yells a lot. And I associated yelling with safety because a dad is supposed to protect and provide and make you feel safe. He did protect me in certain ways. He did provide in certain ways, but he was just constantly yelling all the time. He had a lot of anger problems, and I associated him yelling with safety to the point where I got in my relationship with Haruki, and when I was yelling at him, he was like, "Why are you yelling at me?" But that was normal to me. It was normal to yell at people as a way of communicating. Like, it was normal, and that's what felt safe to me. And I had to unlearn that, because like, yelling at someone is not how you feel safe. Like, it's just not. I felt like I had to put this wall up of like this masculine shield to protect myself, and I was never allowed to just like be in my feminine. I was never able to just be. I always had to just keep surviving. Let's backtrack to last year. I sat with ayahuasca. If you don't know what ayahuasca is, it's a plant medicine. It gave me a lot of healing. So I went to Costa Rica to sit with this plant medicine. One of my intentions was to step into my feminine energy. I remember, like, I have a whole video on this, but I was just crying the whole ceremony because I realized that my mom was never really there for me in the way I needed her to be. So I let all that out. I cried like I never cried before. And then after that, I thought that I needed to heal my feminine wound. I thought I had a feminine wound, which you would think would make sense, you know, like to heal your feminine energy, you need to heal the feminine. Actually, I realized that it's the opposite. I went back to Costa Rica in November of last year. So I went in March, and then I went in November, and I sat with ayahuasca again. And I realized that I had an insane masculine wound that needed to be healed. I realized that I didn't trust men. I didn't feel safe around men. I had a hatred towards men. This stems from me being sexually assaulted at a very young age, and also in my teenage years, by multiple men. It wasn't just one man, it was multiple. I felt taken advantage of so many times. I've been yelled at by several men. I've been in very mentally and verbally abusive relationships with men. I was attracting this because of my childhood and because I was yelled at all the time. And again, I'm not putting blame on anyone or anything. This is just my life and my story. There was absolutely no way that I would be able to step into my feminine if I did not heal the masculine wound within me. In this ceremony, I realized that I've just felt so let down by men. And I looked at all the women in my life, and I saw them of how they felt let down by men, and how much shame and guilt there was, how much just feeling like we've been let down, and just feeling not good enough, or I don't know how to explain it because it's such a deep feeling that I just realized that a lot of the women in my life had really been hurt by men. I talked about in one of my videos how my aunt was murdered by my uncle. I realized that she was really let down by a man. Noticed that, and I associated men as danger. Part of stepping into your feminine is trusting the masculine, and I had no trust in the masculine at all. And I was very scared of men almost. And I would always say, oh, I hate men, but not my husband. My husband's a good one. But no, that's not okay, because he is also a man. He is part of that gender, and he has masculine energy. It's not okay for me to say that I hate all men except for him, because no, just no. And so I would say things like that all the time, and I don't know if it bothered him. It probably did. He never told me it bothered him, but I think he definitely understood where I was coming from, but at the same time, I noticed now that it's not okay to say those things, but it was what I was feeling at the time. Just felt very let down by men. And in this ayahuasca ceremony, I really just realized this. And then it took me to a whole other world. In a separate ceremony, I realized men built everything. Men built the world around us. Men built this building. Maybe some women too, but men, like their testosterone, their masculine energy, they are the reason why so many buildings are built. Why we have certain things in the world, why I'm able to record on this camera. Like, a man is the reason, providing structure and providing this container. And I didn't realize that, and I didn't have an appreciation towards that until that ayahuasca ceremony. How are we supposed to appreciate all of the things around us if we don't appreciate the masculine, if we don't appreciate who did this? And at the same time, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. I didn't either until I was in an ayahuasca ceremony, so I totally get it. Keep an open mind, please. If you do believe in God, like, God is the masculine. He is the representation of divine masculine energy, and that is within all men on this earth. And even if some men are bad, they still have masculine energy within them. I'm not saying to appreciate all men, but at least appreciate the masculine, the driving force that creates all of these things, because I would like to think that the majority of people in this world are good. They do good things. They really like to help people. Unfortunately, I just didn't see that in my early years, and I'm starting to see that now, and it's very new for me now. But I didn't have a good representation of divine masculine energy. And so me not feeling safe all these years made me put up this masculine shield, like this wall, that nobody would be able to hurt me. I was so afraid of being hurt, and I could not trust men to do anything. Even with Haruki, I didn't feel safe and protected because I didn't allow myself to feel safe and protected. I didn't trust him. I just didn't trust men in general. I just didn't. And so it was that experience for me that made me realize all of these things, that feminine energy isn't just about putting on makeup, softening your voice. It's an energy, and it's also not about being magnetic either. I feel like if you're going to tap into your feminine energy, do it for you. Do it because you deserve healing. Do it because you deserve to feel this. And do it because this is your natural essence and you deserve to be able to feel that. Don't do it to become magnetic. Don't do it to attract a guy. Don't do it to attract money in your business. Do it from a place of healing and growth and love, embodiment. Because you cannot embody feminine energy if you're coming at it from a place of lacking feminine energy. Does that make sense? Because if you are coming at it from a place of, I want to be magnetic, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be those things, but wanting to be magnetic, trying to chase after your manifestations and all of this stuff, it's repelling the feminine energy from being within you. Maybe set a different intention. Maybe set the intention that you just want to love yourself, that you just want to be there for yourself. You want to heal. Looking at our shadow can be really scary, but what comes after is so worth it and so beautiful. Now that I have stepped into my feminine, I notice my husband having a lot of divine masculine traits that I was not able to look at before. I respect him more. I view him so much differently now. I trust him more. It's because I also trust myself and I also love myself. I think feminine energy comes with a lot of healing, self-love when you're not already tapped into it. I think also after I had learned about all of this, I was very ashamed to tap back into my masculine energy. But as women, we have both. Men have both too, and we are allowed to be in our masculine energy. Now, it's great to notice where you are feeling more masculine and where you're feeling more feminine, and maybe to balance it out, or maybe to have more in one place and less in another, or something of that sort. But as women as well, I will get into this in a completely different video, but we also get our menstrual cycle. Okay? And this is a whole other topic that I am going to talk about because I'm super passionate about it. We have 4 cycles throughout the month, and those cycles also bring out different energy within us that we can use for different parts of our life. So let me know if you want to see that video down in the comments below. I'm probably going to make it anyways because you guys need to hear it. Tapping into my feminine energy required me to heal my masculine wounds. It required me to actually have empathy for myself and to actually understand what went on in my childhood and what went on in my teenage years to adult years to where I am today. Why was I attracting so many things? Why did I not trust men? Why was I feeling this way towards men so much? It took me healing the masculine to then step into the feminine. I did not need to heal my feminine energy. I just needed to develop a relationship with it and heal my masculine wounds. I had a tiny mother wound, maybe, but that was not the bulk of it. You can only love someone at the capacity that you have loved yourself. I don't believe in the saying that you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself, because we love ourselves to an extent. We all have love within us. But if you don't have that self-love of just knowing yourself and having compassion for yourself, nurturing yourself, having boundaries, having standards. If you have no standards, like if you have no good standards, I should say, you're going to attract a partner or a friendship or some type of relationship who's not going to respect you because you don't respect yourself enough to attract respect back. If you truly, truly have that love for yourself, you are not going to tolerate. And I'm not saying not attract, because you can still attract things outside of your field, but you will not tolerate it. You could attract something that maybe was something that you could attracted from like childhood or something. You could attract somebody into your life, but if they don't meet your standards with your self-love, they're out the door. I feel like feminine energy is a really good representation of the embodiment of self-love. It's the nurturing energy. It's the creative energy. It's the flow energy. It's not the doing. It's not the surviving. It's not the I need to do this, and that so that they don't hurt me. It's not the thinking 10 steps ahead of somebody of what you're going to do if they possibly hurt you. It's not that. Feminine energy is not that. I hope that my story resonated with you in some way or helped you. This was very vulnerable for me to share. So thank you so much for holding space for me and holding this container for me to speak my truth and to share my knowledge with you of what I went through in the past, I would say year, but my whole life. But last year I definitely went through a lot and I realized a lot of things, and now I am in a much, much better place. I've still been going through it, but it's all a healing journey. Once you've healed one thing, there's usually another thing to heal. So, but it comes naturally and it comes with time, and don't force yourself to heal your wounds. Do it when it feels natural to you and when you feel like you have the time and space and energy to do so. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it and leave a comment down below if this resonated with you. And I would love to have you as a part of our soul family here. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, that would absolutely mean the world to me. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!